After the Spanish arrived in Mexico in 1519, ranches were established and stocked with cattle and horses imported from Spain. Landowners mounted native Indians on well-trained horses and taught them to handle cattle. By the early 1700s, cattle ranching had spread north to what is now Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico, and even south to Argentina. The native cowboys were called vaqueros, from the Spanish word for cow, and developed roping skills using braided rawhide redas. Starting in 1769, a chain of 21 Franciscan missions eventually stretched from San Diego to San Francisco, marking the beginning of California's livestock industry. Supply. Livestock production flourished in California and the Southwest, but few markets existed for end products such as meat, hides, and tallow used for making candles. By the mid-1700s, long trains of pack mules would transport these products to Mexico City and return with supplies. American ships began servicing California ports in the early 1800s and traded for the same materials. For the first time, ranchers had local markets for their animals. Huge roundups were held to collect cattle, and hard-riding vaqueros controlled the chaos. Known for expert horsemanship and roping skills, vaqueros were said to only dismount for a chance to dance with pretty girls. In the early and mid-1800s, ranching ceased to be a strictly Hispanic profession as more Americans poured into once Mexican-held lands. The Anglo newcomers adapted to this vaquero lifestyle, and many settlers intermarried with old Spanish ranching families. The 1849 gold rush brought even more people to California, which increased the demand for beef. Californios ride ponies that have been trained in a hackamore, swung in a big loop with their hand-braided rawhide redas, and took from a rap called a dally, around a high saddle horns used for leverage when roping cattle. In the late 1800s, as the livestock industry expanded, these horsemen found work in Oregon, Idaho, Nevada, Arizona, and Hawaii, taking their equipment and livestock handling techniques with them. Cowboys in Oregon, Idaho, and Nevada remained strongly Hispanic, buckaroo coming from the term vaquero, including the use of a center fire rig saddle, in which rigging is situated below the center point of the saddle along reata, and silver-mounted spade bits. Trail-driving Texans adopted many of their techniques from the Mexican vaquero, carrying their methods with them through the Plain States and leading to a subculture of single men who worked. All of these recognizable cowboy fashions and technologies, such as hats, bandanas, spurs, stirrups, lariats, and lassos, are all of Latino invention and descent. Today, as long as cattle are raised in big American pastures, the legacy of the vaquero will endure. The early Mexican techniques for handling cattle can be seen throughout the modern livestock industry, like whenever a cowboy cinches a saddle on his horse, straps his chaps, competes in a rodeo, or ropes a horse from his remuda. Even branding migrated from Mexico. On the Pacific coast and on Nevada ranches, buckaroos still carry long ropes made of nylon these days, ride slick fork saddles, and use silver-mounted spade bits and spurs.